Candy. Hi, Lori. Hi, Todd. Woo, our special guest is here. Hi, Deb and Jeff, Candy, Peter, Tina. I see another Jeff in here, and Lisa and Cami. Hi, everybody. We're going to start admitting folks. We do have folks in our waiting room on Zoom. And so as we're doing that, we'll kind of get settled in, right, Emily?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it is Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern time here in the Pittsburgh area. And that means it is another time to get together as a group for Life Amplified. Welcome in, everyone. We hope that you're having a good start of your week. We are very excited to continue February Prosthetics 101 month. And we have a special guest here, Todd from Amputee Walking School. Todd, hang out because we're going to get to you in a minute as our guest of honor on Zoom. But we're going to start with some introductory things that we do most of the times that we are here. Peter has already got us started, and so has Candy. Welcome in, everybody. Hi from Pittsburgh, where it's kind of getting warmer and dreary, and it's going to be in the 60s at the end of the week. We're super excited about that. Tell us in the comments where you are coming from and how the weather is in your area. I saw California in there. I saw Pennsylvania in there. We know Texas is always in the house. We love our Texans. I know it's warmer where you are. Welcome. I am Jennifer. I am the Executive Director for Amputee Aid. This is Emily. Emily's a social worker for Amputee Aid. How are you doing today, Emily?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. And we are your co-hosts today for Life Amplified. As many of you know, Life Amplified is a weekly webinar sponsored by Amputee Aid right here in the Pittsburgh area, but we help people all over the country, and that's why we love to know where all of you are from. Alaska. Hi, Shelley in Alaska. Good to see you. I was going to say it's cold here, but we're not going to compete with Alaska ever. But we're glad to have you all here. If you are watching us on TikTok, hi to you on TikTok as well. Tell us where you're from. And if you are watching our recording on YouTube, tell us in the comments where you are. We'd love to know how far we reach. We help people all over the country. Although we're located here in the Pittsburgh area as a 501c3 nonprofit serving the limb loss and limb difference community, we'll help you whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, way down in Texas, way up in Alaska, or anywhere in between. We'd love to get to know you. If you are already not working with us, but you want to know more, or you know someone who can, just go to our website, amputee-aid.com, click the little blue Get Help button. You'll have a very short form that you fill out, and you'll get connected with me and with Emily. And we'll talk with you completely free and see what kinds of needs you have and how we can help. Welcome in, everybody. So, you know we like to do our introductory things. The first one being, tell us where you're from. And you will see folks kind of trickling in over the next half an hour or so as they're getting out of another group, joining us, sneaking in a break from work, however they are joining us on Zoom. That's great. We'll continue to watch the waiting room. Please greet them when they come in. But we're going to spend the next hour here together talking with Todd. We'll go through the rest of our introductory things first, though. So first one being, how are you doing and where are you from? Second one, as a reminder to everyone, we are recording our webinars. We record and post to YouTube every Friday, and you will receive a link to the recording if you'd like to watch it again. Look back at a question that was answered, something that you just can't remember, looking for contact information, or ideally sharing it with everybody you know, because we want to be YouTube famous, right, Emily?
Yes.
And by the way, y'all, we've got like a very tiny amount of YouTube followers, one of which is my dog. So could you all please do me a favor, us a favor, and start following us on our social media accounts so everybody else can hear all of the things that we have to share, and you can also share your stories with a larger group. I love my dog, but he can't engage. He doesn't have thumbs. Okay, so we need someone else to get there and start liking all of our things on social media. Thank you very much for that. Third introductory thing, and hi Crystal and Kim and Everett and Tom and everyone who's been joining us so far as we're getting started. As I mentioned, we are doing a recording. So your voices are recorded. Your pictures, we can see all of you joining us on Zoom, and our TikTok friends, we can see your comments and your profile pictures. The recording does not capture your picture, so whether you want to be on or off camera is completely up to you, but don't worry about the YouTube universe seeing your pictures. But it does capture your voice. We'd love to have you all talking with us. Interject and interrupt us at any time, so it's not just us and our expert Todd talking. You're welcome to talk and participate. If you're the kind of person who doesn't really like your voice on the internet, that's okay too. Put your comment in the chat. We will try to get to as many as we can. And we have Nick and Lucho behind the screen who are watching our waiting room and admitting people, but are also going to help us read some of the comments, just in case our eyes aren't that good or we miss a comment. But please, we'd like to hear from you too. We'd love to hear all of your voices. So please interject at any time. and participate live if you can and if you are willing. Hi to our folks who are joining us. Put in the comments where you're from. We'd love to know. Now, so those are our reminders, right? Their third reminder is this is a safe space. This is a space to share information. So please be mindful of the kinds of things that you're sharing and talking about. We want to be respectful to everyone's opinions. So this is probably not the space to ask very detailed personal questions. We want to hear about those detailed personal questions, but those are the kinds of things you'll want to have a separate conversation about. Just know that your information is going to be shared with thousands of people. And if I have my way and we're YouTube famous, hundreds of thousands and millions of people. So be aware of that as you're commenting. Be mindful of the things that you're saying, the audience that could potentially hear it, and whether you want your personal information out there. Jeff is in Connecticut. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. Welcome in. All right. Now, before we get to Todd, and Todd, if you can give us just a couple more minutes, we do want to share an update about one of our clients, and we have some information that we're going to share on the screen. Some of you might know this, but we did get permission to share this, and we wanted to let you all know about our good friend, John Peters, who unfortunately passed away in January. John was a good friend of our organization. John was a client of ours and was open about being a client of ours, and attended many of our webinars. And I believe that many of you knew John as well. So we wanted to share with all of you his obituary and alert you all that he did unfortunately pass away on January 22nd. His family asked that in lieu of cards or flowers, that if anyone's inclined, that they donate to Amputee Coalition on his behalf. So we have included information about Amputee Coalition at the bottom of that slide for all of you. We are also going to be sending a sympathy card on behalf of our agency to John's family. And we are going to include information about, our experience with him. If any of you have a message that you want to pass along, an experience that you had, a story that you want to share, you're welcome to email to Emily or to me, and we'll print that out and send it with our packet to his family. I would like to share, Emily, that the last conversation we had with John was very pleasant. And it was actually the day before he passed away. And he was really excited about moving. And he said he was going to be closer to us. And he was looking forward to meeting us in person and to volunteering with our organization, which I think says a lot about him. He was very motivated to give back to the limb loss, limb difference community, and had this energy about him that he was going to get here and he was going to give back and share his heart and his spirit with other people. And he really, really wanted to be a helper.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted everyone to know about John. Right, Emily? And so if this is new news to you, we don't want to kind of damper the afternoon because we have some really important, interesting things and fun things to talk about today. But we just could not let our session go by without sharing both John's passing and our last experience with him, because he was an important part of our organization and he was often present with us and in participating with our webinars. So rest in peace, John. And we will be sending a card to his family. So as I said, if you want to share information. Oh, and thanks, Jim, for putting that in there for Amputee Coalition. If anybody is looking to donate on behalf of John, his family did ask that donations go to Amputee Coalition. And Jim will put that information in the chat as well. You don't have to, but if you're looking to do that, every little bit counts. We can tell you from one nonprofit to another, every little bit counts. And we'll be sending a card. So if you want to send some information, a note or anything, please go ahead and email it by the end of the week, and we'll print them out and send them with our packet. Okay, so let's take a breather, center ourselves, and let's talk about why we're here today, because everybody, we are very, very fortunate to have Todd on our program. Todd is the founder of Amputee Walking School, okay? And we're going to talk about Amputee Walking School. Todd is also a very world-renowned expert and Paralympian, okay, and trainer of other Paralympians, which we won't razz him about. But one thing I heard, Todd, and I think you told me this, is that you trained the people who broke your world record. So maybe you could tell us about that. We are very fortunate to have Todd with us for the next hour, talking to us about his experiences, his life, Amputee Walking School, all things related to being active. We've got a list of questions here, but we would love for all of you to take advantage of the fact that Todd has given us his time and his expertise, and you can ask him questions too. Before we get started with Todd, I'm going to turn it over to Emily, my co-host, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about Todd. And then Todd, brace yourselves as we're going to get started with you. We've got a lot of questions. Okay.
All right. So Todd is a dedicated advocate, mentor, and leader in the limb loss community, best known for his work with Amputee Walking School. After losing his leg above the knee to bone cancer at 15, he embraced every challenge with determination, eventually becoming a Paralympic gold medalist in track and field and setting world record sprint times on his prosthetic. Drawing from his own lived experience as an amputee and elite athlete, he has devoted his career to empowering others to regain confidence, mobility, and independence. His compassionate approach, combined with practical expertise and motivational spirit, has helped countless individuals take their first steps, both physically and emotionally, towards a more active and fulfilling life.
Yay! So welcome, Todd, and thank you so much for coming to Life Amplified. I have to say, personally, when I asked you, I was like, I'm not sure if he's going to have time, but I'm so glad that you said yes immediately and joined us for our February Prosthetics 101 theme. So thank you very much. And as we're getting started, I will say, so the second transparent thing, if everyone has noticed, we keep saying Todd. And we are purposely not saying Todd's last name because although I know it's probably easy, all of the letters in a row are messing with my mind, okay? Is it Schaffhauser? Could you please just start with the correct pronunciation of your last name, Todd? Schaffhauser. Okay. All right. So, and by the way, hold on for one moment. We're going to see if our guys can get our audio going because although we can kind of hear you, it would not be a session of Life Amplified without some tech issues, and we can't hear you in our ears. So speak really loudly and we'll do our best to hear you as well, but I'm sure everybody else on the screen can hear you just fine. Okay. All right. So Todd, first, thank you very much for joining us. And I would love, so we've got some questions, but we might go off script because that's also how we roll here at Life Amplified. But as you all are hearing these answers and kind of hearing more about Todd's story, please chime in, ask questions when you want. Okay. Todd, could you start with giving us a little bit more of your background, both as an amputee and kind of what your professional background has been?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Thank you for the introduction. That was very kind. Yeah, I've been an amputee for 41 years. I lost my leg to bone cancer I was diagnosed in 1984, and then the amputation was January of 1985. And then I was on chemotherapy for about 2 years. And then that's really when my recovery began, was when the chemotherapy ended, because I was just in and out of the hospital all the time. I was here in New York City, coming into the city. I live on Long Island. Into Sloan Kettering Memorial Cancer Hospital and working, with the doctors there for treatments and then trying to learn to walk again. I went to hospital for special surgery for my therapy. And I was really lucky. I was part of a program called the Aspire program, which is adolescent sarcoma patients, intense rehabilitation with exercise. I needed a lot of training in the beginning just because of the chemotherapy really just destroyed my heart and lungs. I could hardly walk 10 feet. And then I was able to get, therapy and then go beyond. And that's the thing that really was a foundation for me because, I was just a kid. I thought everybody got this. And when I realized is that I was really part of something special, I was like, well, how can we kind of recreate this so that everyone can get the same kind of training and attention to the needs that I got? And that was 38 years ago, when I started the Amputee Walking School. It wasn't something I meant to do. I was starting to compete in the Paralympic competition. I qualified for Seoul, Korea, and I was able to win a gold medal and set a world record the following year. I was also going to physical therapy school at the time. And, at that point, I was just wanting to see how I can help. And I got a call, actually an email from a prosthetist in Austin, Texas, of all places, that saw an article that was written about me coming back from Seoul, Korea. And they wanted to know if we can go down and do a running clinic, and I was not ready to teach anybody because I was still in therapy school. So I gave it to my therapist, who became my track coach, David Balsley. And David said, I'm running hospital for special surgery, sports medicine department. I can't go down there. Once you go down, you can show it, you can teach it, they can mimic the movements, and it'll be great. And it was 4 people. 2 of those 4 amputees wound up qualifying for the Paralympics in Barcelona, Spain.
That's amazing.
And I just had so much fun doing it. I was like, let's do a second program. And the second program was in LA, and we had 75 amputees come out.
Wow. And how long ago was that, Todd?
The first one was in 1988, and the second one was in 1989.
So you went from 4 to 75 people with your second group.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, and it was incredible. We had some FlexFoot was a sponsor back then. They were what they're now OSER, but they were a prosthetic manufacturer of carbon fiber feet. But what I saw was that it was kind of changing who was coming to the program, because again, these were running clinics.
Yeah.
These were meant to teach those younger athletes, those that were going to be my future competitors, to learn to run. And what was happening was that more people that were diabetic vascular patients were coming to the program, your mom, dads, grandmothers, and grandfathers. So I realized is that, they had no interest in learning to run, but let's see how we can help everybody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really when the walking school was really born, because the program needed to evolve.
Yeah, so that was kind of the origin story. Is it started as running, but you noticed other people coming in, other needs, which is true about nonprofit life, by the way. You identify a need, but then as you're working on that need, you find another need. Can we, Todd, sidebar for a minute and just talk about your life as a Paralympian? And we'll come back to Amputee Walking School in a moment, but I think it's timely because it's Olympics and Paralympics time right now, although it's winter. And I don't know about anyone else. I only know one other Paralympian, and he talked for 1 hour. I loved him at our banquet. And for you, it's like, I want to take advantage of the fact that we have a Paralympian in the room. So can you, when you were a teenager, prior to your amputation, were you a particularly athletic person? Did you always want to be, competing in some way? Or how did you end up being a Paralympian? What is it that motivated you to even try?
Yeah, so I was never active in sports as a kid. My mother was Italian. She's Italian. She's very overprotective.
Okay.
So she didn't want you to get hurt. And so I never did any sports except just on our block. My block versus your block, and some things like that. But I never did Little League. Never did anything like that. But after the amputation happened, my mother just went the opposite way. She's like, you got to get involved in sports. Yeah. She knew that sports going to really help me. And, then I got started, and my therapist became my track coach, like I mentioned. And he was really someone that he kind of tricked me, because I went for therapy on my last day of therapy, just like anyone probably here. It was, once therapy is over, it's over. It's in the past. And so when I went to see him on the last day of therapy, I always go in after school, 4:00. We're done by 5. And at 5:00, I'd always say, hey, Dave, thank you very much. I'll see you next time. But this was a Friday that there was going to be no next time, because therapy was now over. So I went in to say to him, I said, Dave, I can't thank you enough. I gave him a big hug. When I first came in here, we were walking on the treadmill at 1 mile per hour and being able to hold on for, 30 seconds. Now I learned a little bit to run. I'm able to do a little bit more. And I said, I can't thank you enough. You really changed my life. Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm glad to hear you say that. And then I said, but all good things must end. And I said, therapy is over, and I love you, but I don't ever want to see you again in this capacity. And he's like, I get it. And then I started walking out the door. And then he always would do this. He said, wait a minute. Oh. And I like, okay. And I could have just kept walking, but I turned around. And I'm like, what's going on? What's up? He's like, I'm glad to hear you say that. You should really continue on. And I'm like, I will. Once I go home and once I go next week, and I will continue on, but I'll do it by myself. The therapy is over. And then he's like, well, I just signed you up for a competition down in Nashville, Tennessee.
Surprise.
This is June. And you got to go down there and run 100 meters in September. And I just looked at him. I'm like, what? I was like, what did you do? I'm like, Dave, we just learned to run 3 car lengths in your parking lot. I said, how am I going to do this in 3 months? And then he said, well, I'm not your therapist anymore. And I said, I know.
Yeah.
I just said that.
Yeah.
He's like, now I'm your track coach. I will see you on Monday at 4:00.
Wow.
And everything just changed at that point.
Yeah.
And, that's how I started my Paralympic career.
Cool.
I went down to Tennessee. I ran my first race. I trained as hard as I could. And, but this is what happened in the race. The gun went off, a full 8-lane, 8 competitors. The gun went off. I lifted up my head to take my first step. And when I looked up, the whole field was already halfway down the track.
Oh, wow.
And I started to run, and I just kept saying to myself, how did they do this?
Yeah.
How did they do this? I finished in a time of 26.8 seconds. The winner ran a time of 15.75.
Wow.
And so I got beat by 10 seconds.
That's a lot.
For those, that's a lot. And, I just couldn't believe what happened. And right from then, I just said to myself, I got to learn how they did this, and I got to become a better athlete.
Yeah.
And just everything changed. So that moment changed my life, because it really helped me to realize is that there was a competitive spirit inside of me.
Yes.
That I never kind of really knew existed. And I just wanted to try to get better. So I went down next year to Tennessee, and I trained as hard as I could, and I got beat again. But this time it was by 6 seconds.
Okay.
Then I went down 1988, the 3rd time in a row. Nationals were again in Nashville, Tennessee. It was the qualifying for the Paralympics, and I only got beat by a half a second. But I qualified to go to the Paralympics, and that's, changed my life.
Changed your life. Then you went and you ended up setting a world record at the Paralympics. Am I right? Yeah. And so
it was very cool.
This is why.
Being in,
yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Being in front of it, it's for someone like me. I'm from North Babylon, Long Island. It's to be in front of a full stadium of people. Because when you go overseas for the Paralympics, there's a lot of people that support it. There's a lot of people that come out to watch it. Not so much here in the U.S., but it's getting better.
Yeah.
But just being in front of a full stadium of people, and they're cheering everyone, they're cheering you. And it was just an amazing experience. It was, one of those things. It's like, it was just incredible.
And this is why one of the many reasons I was excited to have you here today, because in hearing this story from you, I'm hearing all of these different themes. Like, for example, it takes one person who believes in you, even if you don't think you can do something. Look at what has happened. Your physical therapist then turned coach believed in you, even when you're like, I just ran 3 car lengths. That's what we learned, and then you ultimately become a world record setting Paralympian, and now founder of Amputee Walking School that has helped thousands of people. But I'm also hearing a theme of when I don't want to say failed, because I think still your first race was pretty remarkable, but people were beating you by 10 plus seconds. Lots of us have those experiences where we try something for the first time and it doesn't work out and we quit, but you didn't quit. And look at what has happened. So such an inspiration. I know some people don't like being called an inspiration, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think you are an inspiration, Todd. And then you turned into training people who ultimately beat your record. So let's go back to that. Okay.
In the training part of it, so in the gym, we had a big Quinton treadmill. It was one of the big rehab treadmills, the same treadmill I learned to walk on. I was now learning to run on. And, I started walking on it. It was 1 mile per hour, and I was holding on for dear life just to be able to, build up the endurance.
Yeah.
But the treadmill went up to 15 miles per hour. And to be able to be competitive in the 100-meter dash to get the qualifying time, what that meant was that we had to get up to 15 miles per hour and hold it on the treadmill for at least 15 seconds. Yeah. So that kind of leg turnover speed, the demand on the prosthetics, there's a lot. I could tell you a lot about that too. But it was just something that, Dave said to me, I remember, Because again, one person can change your life. One person, all it takes is one person. And he said, if you want to be competitive, you got to top this treadmill at 15 miles per hour and hold it for 15 seconds. And you got to do it like it's second nature.
Yeah.
And it took me, 2 years to be able to master that. But by doing that, I was able to learn a lot about how do you teach somebody.
Yeah.
And that was, history was there.
Yeah. And that kind of, all of your experiences led you to take Amputee Walking School and develop it into something that's accessible for all the kinds of people who are actually coming to you, which I want to turn to next. I would love to share this comment that we received from Mr. Luna. Nick and Lucho, can we scroll up a little bit? I really love this because I think it's a nice kind of summary of what we just discussed. From Mr. Luna, challenges come to us not to make us feel down, but to motivate us to improve and overcome them. Very well said. So let's go back and look at my handy dandy notes. We try not to go off the notes, but we had so many questions that we wanted to ask you. I'd like to go back, Todd, and talk about, so you told us the origin story of Amputee Walking School, that it started as this running clinic, first 4 people, second time around 75 people. But what you notice is that other types of amputees were coming to and really had a need for training. So talk to us a little bit more about that, for kind of how Amputee Walking School evolved, and what type of audience it actually serves and why that is.
So that's what was interesting, is who was going to come out to the program. And the way which I like to teach is that everybody learns at the same time. So when a program is done, you have amputees, you have their family members, you have therapists that come out, prosthetists can come out. Everybody's learning at the same time. Just by when we do a lab session, which is the actual walking school, everyone's able to experience and be able to help. And the hands-on is something that is very involved, is very interactive. And you got people that are coming that are wanting to learn to do new things, or people that are coming that are learning beginning things. So in order to be able to really experience how to do all that, I worked in all areas of rehab, in outpatient, going to people's homes. I work now with subacute rehab. So I work from people from the very beginning. I work with a great group called Care Right. They got 36 skilled nursing facilities around the country. So I get to work with someone from the very beginning, those that are even contemplating amputation, all the way through when we discharge them to home. And they're first learning how to walk on their prosthesis. And, it's something that's been a real eye opener, because in order for me to learn how to help somebody, I got to understand is what are their needs. Right. And so I got to experience that. And same thing with technology. I need to understand what technology is about so I can understand someone that comes in wearing that kind of technology.
Right.
So it's just, it evolves by what the needs are of the people that come. The amputees are the ones that built the program.
Okay.
It's not something where I had this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and that's it. I was like, no, we got to learn what people want, what people need. And over the last 38 years, things have changed, because back in the 80s, you got a lot more time in physical therapy. Today, you're not getting enough time in therapy. So it's a lot on you. It's a lot on wellness. The technology has gotten so much better and better, but the time that someone gets to spend in therapy has gotten less and less.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to really have more programs like this to be able to help people, for the long term.
Yeah.
When I do a program, I don't change anyone's technology. I don't put a foot on you. It's, you got it. Whatever you come in with is what you need to learn on, because when you leave me, you need to be able to do everything we did with that kind of technology. So all these programs I see when someone is putting a foot on, and you learn, someone that has run on all these different kinds of feet and everything is, when I ask the person, can you run on your walking leg? And they say, no, I've never done that. And I'm like, well, then what are we really teaching? So I'd like to teach the foundation of just, the rehab foundation of what people need to learn so that they can be able to have a better quality of life every single day.
Yeah. Could you, for someone who hasn't come to one of your amputee walking schools, could you give us kind of the basics of what it actually entails? It's a 2-day situation typically. Is that right? Can you kind of give us like the basics of what it actually looks like from a participant's perspective?
Yeah. So it's a 1 day or 2 day, depending on how it's set up. It's because it could be 2 days actually in different cities. Like in Indianapolis, in Indiana, I do sometimes I'll do a program in Indianapolis, and then we'll go down and do one down in Bloomington. So we're trying to just reach people, and people can come to as many programs as they want. The one thing about the Amputee Walking School, it's been free for 38 years. No amputees pay for the program. They just have to come to the program, and we'll work with you and try to help you the best we can. But when you're going to come, first it's just for me to kind of learn all about who the audience is. I give you a little bit of a background, and I'm going to go straight into this is what we're going to learn to do, and then this is when we're going to do it. So we have is a lecture, lab session, lecture, lab session. So it's very interactive, and whatever the needs are with the people that come, we want to try to address that.
Yeah.
And then and I give you homework. You go home with homework. Come to the Amputee Walking School, you get homework. So I got these little homework card sheets that people get, and they can start to do these exercises at home. They can show it to their therapist. Nice. I like to teach, especially our older patients, if they have an aid, and someone that can help them. Because if you're at home and you need assistance and be able to I want you to get up more. I want you to walk more. But maybe you need some assistance to be able to do that. Well, we got to teach everyone that's surrounding you and your environment how to do that. Yeah. So I like teaching aides. I like teaching students. Students come to the walking school. They meet more amputees in one day, maybe than they will in their first years and out and working in the field. So it's a very interactive program, learning about different techniques. And but the main goal is walking. It is the Amputee Walking School.
Yeah.
So I always ask, how much do you walk? And I try to find out, and then I give you some, like I said, homework. And then I start to track your steps. That's the one thing we like to do. I like tracking steps. And I always tell people, they say, what are the goals if you're an amputee? How much, if 10,000 steps a day, that's something for an able-bodied person to reach. Well, I'm a below-the-knee amputee. I'm a bilateral BK. How many steps should I walk? I wanted to find that out. So research tells us that if you're a below-the-knee amputee, your big goal is 6,000 steps a day.
Really?
If you're an above-knee amputee, If you're an above-knee amputee, your big goal is 4,000 steps a day. But how do we know if that was really true? So I started tracking steps of all the amputees that come, those that want to participate. And I've been doing that now for over a decade.
Okay.
And every 500 steps is a new milestone. So the first big goal, like when someone leaves me at the subacute, I want them to get you 500 steps and then get to 1,000. But the cutoff point for a home ambulator versus community ambulator, the difference point is about 1,250 steps a day.
Okay.
Once you get over that amount, then in order for you to walk more, you're going to have to leave the house. And that's their goal, to get you more active. Yeah. And then the next big step is about 2,700 steps a day. That means that you're a community ambulator. You can be able to go, get to the doctor's office. Maybe you don't need to bring your wheelchair. You're using your walker. You could use your assisted device. That's okay. Whatever we can do to help you to take more steps, because steps equals reps. Repetitions is the key, because in order for something to become second nature, you got to have multiple repetitions, thousands of repetitions. It's just like athletics. When people say, how did you run like you do? And people watch me, running, and they see how I did it, running step over step. I did it millions of times. I did so many repetitions until it became synced in my brain and my body that this was the new second nature.
Now, Todd, you mentioned counting steps. You gave us a QR code before our webinar started today. And guys, can we put that in the chat? Could you tell us more about what this QR code takes us to and how it might be helpful?
Yep. So the QR code is for when someone comes to the walk-in school, and even if you don't, you could just start whenever you want. Yeah. But it is to start tracking your steps. Okay. And what it is to really kind of keep you accountable to yourself. Because for me, like when I was training, I would write down my training regimen. This is what I need to do. This is what I did, right? I wanted to do 10 run-throughs. This is the times I was trying to get to. Maybe I hit those times, maybe I didn't. But at least I had a log of what my activity was, so I know how to get better. So this is something to kind of start that way as well. So you start to track your steps daily. And there's two things that's important: the amount of steps you do and keeping your streak. The
Nice.
streak is how many days in a row that you post your steps.
Okay.
The goal of this is that for this to become second nature, that you're walking as much as you need to for your day. And that's what I always tell people when they, leave me at the subacute, when they go home. I always say, Mr. Jones, this is your day. You could be the person that wakes up in the morning and puts his prosthesis on and tries to do everything he can do in his day. Mm-hmm. Or I meet people that do the opposite. They put their leg on at 2 p.m. Because they have a 3 p.m. therapy appointment, and then they take their prosthesis off at 4:30 when they get home.
They're done.
It's a big difference in what's going to be, what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah. Now, the QR code, is there a cost that folks incur for tracking their steps? No, it's free?
No.
We
It's
love free resources. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's just for you, again, and you get
It's
just
just for you.
a chance to see that you're not the only one. So if this, like when I first started doing this, there was an amputee in New Jersey who saw an amputee in Kentucky. They never met, but they saw each other on the leaderboard, the AWS leaderboard.
Very
And that
cool.
leaderboard, they get able to connect. But there's also a team challenge. So the team challenge, we have state versus state. So your state is your team. So like we have Indiana, there's a great therapist there, Curtis Wayman, who I do walking schools with when I do the hanger program.
Yes.
Curtis, I call him Coach Kurt. He's amazing. But he does, wellness classes with amputees in Indiana. And he's an amazing guy. He's a very intelligent guy. But he helps those amputees to keep task of their steps. And they've done last year, they did over 30 million steps.
Ooh,
So,
we're fighting with Indiana. And I mentioned,
Can I interrupt for a second?
Absolutely. I saw Ken that you mentioned him. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ken.
I know Kurt. Yeah, because I live in Anderson, Indiana, which is just northeast of Indy, and I was connected with him a year ago.
Curtis?
And I noticed on his Facebook page, he reports and reminds people to do the steps and everything. And I think that's wonderful.
Talking like a coach. That's what coaches do. All right, we got to get, I don't know where Pennsylvania is on the leaderboard, but I'm nervous. Go ahead, Todd.
Like as I always say, it takes only one person to change your life.
Exactly.
And that's where there's many, many people that are out there that are trying to help and have a passion to help those with amputation. And I want to meet and find all of them.
And I love your model, Todd, where it's, although traditional rehabilitation and physical therapy is important, and if it's prescribed to you, please do it. I love this model of including other people, your helpers, your healthcare providers, the people in your home, so that everybody is learning together. And that's intentional, right, Todd?
Yeah, because it's the team that's around you.
Yeah.
That team. I always say with the walk-in school, the mentoring, training community. So mentoring is those that are going to help us, especially when we're contemplating amputation or after the amputation. As being 15 and being in the cancer hospital, nobody came to see me. There was no one that was just like me that I could be able to say, you know what, I want to try to be that person. There was nobody that came, and it just because there was nobody to do that at that point. So mentoring is something that's very, very important, and mentoring can happen in person. It can happen over FaceTime, but just someone that lived your experience that can help you to understand that things are going to be okay. The training is like I talk about at the walk-in school, and I brought the walk-in school inpatient to the subacute because I want the training to start earlier. When someone comes to the walk-in school, and if they're learning this for the first time, it's never too late. But I wish they would have learned it earlier. And then community is this. This is the community. Like you're doing, like I'm trying to do, is create a community to help people.
Supporters. And I see some questions in here that I want to get to, if that's okay. But I just want to say as an aside, for folks who might be upper extremity amputees, please know that the themes here are still relevant to you, which is having someone believe in you, being persistent, rallying around your team. Even if you yourself as an upper extremity amputee might not go to Amputee Walking School, the concepts here, I think, hopefully they resonate with you. We have a lot of questions, Todd, about where, in what cities and places you bring the walking school. And I will just say, as we get started with this topic, we have been applying for grants all over the place. So if any of our funders are watching the recording of this, please understand how important this is to our community and grant some of our applications, because any city that has a fund, I have been applying to bring your program to it. And a lot of them in Texas for our Texas friends. But of course, and if we could pay you millions, we would through those grants. But we've been trying, y'all, because we want Amputee Walking School everywhere. We had some questions about whether you ever go to Oregon or Washington, and kind of like, what is there like a recurring place that you go to? And related to that, Todd, how do people find out where it might be coming to? Is that advertised anywhere? Talk to us about those things.
Yeah, so there's advertisements. I put it on the Amputee Walking School website. I have to update the schedule. Sometimes with the winter weather, we don't do as much. I spend more time in New York. And like I said, I work inpatient. But from spring to late fall, I'm out pretty much every month for at least 2 or 3 weekends. And so like this upcoming programs is going to be New Jersey in March, Washington, D.C. for the first time at MedStar Hospital in March. Is also Baltimore. We do a great program with Dankmeyer and University of Maryland Orthopedic Rehab Institute. That program has been going on for over 15 years. But then Kentucky, Indiana, North Carolina, Hangers is very much Kenny Orthopedics was the company I was working with. They merged with Hanger, and now Hanger is going to be helping us to maybe expand this, hopefully nationally, is what I'm hoping for.
That's
but we're doing some programs in Chicago, Rochester, Minnesota, Detroit, bring the program back to Detroit. So it's going to be expanding, but a lot of it is east side, but Texas, I've done programs in Texas. That was the first program. That's just Texas is special. Houston, Shear Hospital, we've been talking with them about doing a program. So
I think for any of our other amputee supporting groups, if you're watching our webinar live or on a recording, please consider bringing Todd to your group, right? Write a grant, find the funding, and ask him to come and bring Amputee Walking School to your community. Todd, how does somebody become part of the program? Can they be self-referred? Do they have to be picked by like a clinic or a hospital? Like how would they become, if you come to their city, how do they get involved?
So anybody can come. You don't even have to have a prosthesis. Like I said, it's mentoring, training, community. I'm all about, seeing is believing. If someone like at the subacute rehab, when Mr. Jones comes in, he's a brand new amputee, but Mr. Jones got his prosthesis 3 weeks ago. I get a chance to see what life is like 3 weeks down the road, 3 months down the road, 3 years down the road. So when someone comes, they don't have to have their prosthesis. They don't have to be up and walking on it. That's what we're here for, to try to help them to do that. But normally they get referred by the prosthetic company, by the physical therapist, the vascular surgeon. And a lot of times the support groups hear about it, and then they decide to come. So it's all those different. But mostly it's prosthetic companies and physical therapists.
Okay, all right. So if you see on Todd's website, Amputee Walking School website, that it's coming to a city near you, reach out. They can reach out either through their clinic or directly to you, it sounds like, and inquire about how they could get involved. Is that right?
Yeah, anybody can come.
Great.
And we want you to come. We want you to bring your family. We want you to be with the people that are going to help you at home, because in the beginning, you might need help to do some of these things. Again, we want to get you more active. So just like I had to have help to get more active, everyone needs help.
I'm wondering if we can go back to, we saw some comments in the chat about the physical therapy and the limited amount of sessions that some people get, if they even get it. And I'm wondering, Todd, if we can come back to that. Especially since you trained in our physical therapist, but also have seen the kind of change from the 80s to now, and both the technology, but also how much physical therapy somebody gets. And I'm wondering if, as we're coming up on, the last 15 minutes or so of our webinar, which means tip everyone, if you have a question, now was the time to ask it or put it in the chat so we can get to it before we're done. Todd, and I'm trying to think of a way to say this respectfully, because I don't want to disparage the physical therapy field. They do wonderful work, but it seems to me that one of the common things we hear is either amputees are not getting insurance coverage at all for physical therapy, or they get a very limited amount of sessions, maybe through like a managed care program, and it's just not enough. And so they feel anxious or they struggle or they can't pay out of pocket after that. Could you talk to us a little bit about that? A, are we right that that is in fact happening? There's less and less sessions actually being authorized by insurance, generally speaking. And B, what are your suggestions for how people can manage when that happens? Are there things they can do at home? Is it about advocacy? Like, what are your comments on that? And like I said, I want to ask that question respectfully because physical therapists do wonderful work, but it seems to be an ongoing challenge in the community.
Yeah, it's not the physical therapist. They would work with you every day, if they could. But it's the insurance companies that are unfortunately not seeing that people just need more time. And again, technology has gotten better, more complicated, but therapy time has gotten less. Yeah. So every year you can try to go back and get more therapy. And that's something that I always try to tell people. When people come to the walking school, I try to find out when is the last time when they were in therapy and get them to see if they can go back to therapy to get more training. So that's something that I think is really, really important. Many people, I think, can go from a therapy program to a wellness program. And sometimes the hospital has outpatient therapy. They also offer a wellness program. So the wellness program is something that you don't have a therapist with you following you around, but there's someone that's overseeing a program, but it's still helping you to keep going and maintain everything that you just learned. So there's something where I think people need to just learn more about that. But every year you can try to get back into therapy. And a lot of people don't realize that. They were like me. It's like therapy is over. And I was wrong because therapy was not over. It just evolved into something else. And that's where I think many people can, fit into that same category.
Yeah.
But therapists try to do the best they can and they just run out of time. I see it all the time. Yeah. I see it with us at the subacute level. We try to help people as much as we can, but the insurance runs out.
That's rough.
And it's hard. So I always try to build a better foundation. That's the key, to build a better foundation with the time you have. Yeah. Teaching different things that can help someone to learn the most they can in that time frame, so that when they do leave you and they go home, they're much more prepared to what's going to happen next.
Yeah. And just as an aside, for Amputee Aid, for our perspective, if you're not sure when and how your sessions renew, that's what you do, right, Emily?
Yep.
So as part of your job as a social worker, you find all of that out.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about that?
No, usually what I'll do is we either need you to sign just a HIPAA release so that the insurance company will speak with me, or else sometimes I've called together with people. And so I'll start the conversation, and then they'll usually just want to hear from the client that it's okay to talk with me on the phone. And then once we figure those things out, then they'll just tell us everything we need to know.
Yeah. So we can advocate for you if you're not quite sure, if you're looking to get back involved. But back to you, Todd, and Amputee Walking School, because you are the stars of today. We want to keep it on you, but just as an aside for that. You mentioned homework, that for folks who are in your program, you give them homework. I know you can't give us medical advice, so nobody call us and say they got medical advice from Todd, the Paralympian, on our webinar. But could you give us an idea for what kinds of homework you do give participants when they're in your program?
Yeah, see, it's what we teach is to kind of take that information and bring it home. How does it apply to home? So doing sit-to-stands at the kitchen sink, that's something that's a simple thing to do. I teach everyone how to do that. That's very important because if you're not standing enough in a day, you're not going to really be able to move past a certain level. So we got to get you up more, but we got to do it safely. So we can teach you how to do it at the program so that you can do it at home. And that's why it's important for the family members or the aide to come to the program, so that, because they're my eyes and ears. They're, they're the people that are helping. But that's something that's a simple exercise that I like people to do. I do a lot of stuff with resistance training, a little bit different than what people might think, though. I do a lot with walking and resistance. People need to understand how to, because when you walk against resistance and then the resistance is taken away, everything feels a lot lighter. You got a lot more control. So these are all things that I would do in Paralympic competition training that I just brought down to the everyday training.
When you say resistance, are they like the resistance bands that you can get on Amazon, or those little weights that you can attach to yourself, or what do you mean?
Bands, all different kinds of bands.
Okay, all right.
All different kinds.
And if y'all remember, a few months ago, we bought some resistance bands, and we might be able to squeeze out a couple extra. If you are interested, message us. Okay, info@amputee-aid.com, but only for attending live. I don't want to get 100 emails from YouTube, and we'll see what we can get. All right, so we're coming.
So if you're doing like sit to stands at the kitchen sink, let's go back to that for a second. So we'll do that. We'll teach the spotters how to, if you're an above knee amputee, how do we block the knee? So to make sure that you get up safely, you get up with control. And then once you get good at doing a sit to stand, I add resistance. I make that whole sit to stand harder. And then we do that. And then I take the resistance away. And now you could start to stand up and everything feels really light. And you can understand the control. So
interesting.
It's a matter of just, trying different things that, some things are outside the box thinking, but I've been doing it for 38 years. It's not outside the box anymore.
No, spoken from an expert and Paralympian. But please, everyone, remember, if you're going to try something like this, don't do something if it's painful to you, and if it's your first time, make sure someone else is at home. But the last thing we want is someone to fall and there's nobody at home to help. If you're trying something new. So as we're coming up on the close of our hour, everyone, if you have a question, now is the time. You can raise your hand or put it in the chat. Todd, as we're looking to see if anyone has any questions, could you tell us kind of what the vision for Amputee Walking School is going forward? Bringing it national sounds like the primary vision, but any things coming up that we should be aware of?
Well, my goal has always been to have a national program. Yeah. That's something where, it was always my vision. And, it's 38 years, and it's not as simple as it might think to have a program nationally. But, I'm not giving up on that. And every month and every week, I try to really focus on that. So that's, something I want to do. I want to have more trainers like me to be able to help. So I can't be everywhere, but if there's more people like me, then the Amputee Walking School cannot be a monthly program. It could be a daily program. And that's something where it's one of my big goals, to have a program that's like that.
If there are other nonprofit organizations, or frankly, even for-profit organizations, any clinics, any hospitals, any groups like ours that are watching our recording or with us live, if they are interested, Todd, in bringing your program to their city, how do they get started?
Just reach out to me on Amputee Walking School. They can reach out via you if they know you. And just reach out. It starts sometimes with just one person that has a need. And that's what a lot of these programs. One person had a need. They went to their physical therapist, who went to their rehab director, who went to the hospital administrator. And then an Amputee Walking School was born. And it lasted for 20 years. So, Cardinal Hill Rehab Hospital in Lexington, Kentucky, that's the longest running Amputee Walking School. Wow. It was Kenny Orthopedics, and Cardinal Hill. And they wanted to do a program, and that program has been going on for the longest period.
Amazing. That's amazing. So whether you're looking to breathe life into a program you currently have or start brand new, you can reach out to Todd. And Todd will include all your contact information with our recording as well, so that folks know how to reach you and they can bring your program. And I will also say, personally, very, very reasonably priced. And so this should not be a deterrent. It's really about helping people, and we are thankful for you for doing that. As we're closing out on our time, final two questions for you, Todd. The first being, if there's anything else you want us to know, now is the time to share. And second is, I'm just curious, again, going back to the fact that you are a Paralympian, do you still watch Summer Paralympics? Like, are you that kind of person who's still watching it and cheering people on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I train athletes.
That's
for a while.
amazing.
I don't do that currently, but if someone comes to I've taught more people to run than anybody. Yeah. But if people come to the program, they want to learn to run, I'll teach them to run. But I love watching competition. I love watching how it's evolved. It's something that, it's been amazing to watch. Back in the 80s, the Paralympics started in 1960, but it took until 1988 to have enough above the knee amputees to even have a race.
Wow.
And it was just a straight final. And I was in that final. So I was the first gold medalist in my category. But now you have quarterfinals, semifinals. You have a full field of elite athletes. And that's, it's really changed. And I just love watching how it's evolved.
Definitely. I feel like you should, even if you've trained people who ultimately beat your record, you should still kind of have the record vicariously through them, because but for you, right, they would not have secured that record.
Well, my last Paralympics was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I came in third. And, the person that came in second came up to me, and I taught him how to run in France. And, he gave me a big hug, and he whispered to me just how thankful he was. And I just met him one day. I met him one day.
Yeah.
But, again, it takes just one day, one person, can, one comment can change somebody's life. And, but no, when I accomplished what I did in 1988, I didn't expect to go past that event.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be it. And, it turned into a career, and then it turned into training people. And it's something that, it's an experience of a lifetime. It's been incredible.
And I think, and what a wonderful way to kind of close our session on that theme. And I think, candidly, Todd, even from your day with your physical therapist, when you said, we're over, right? I like you, but I don't need to see you anymore. And when he said, oh, okay, I'm glad you said that because now I'm your coach, even way back then, look at that trajectory, what it has done. And am I right that you've really, over the several decades, you've easily served thousands of amputees, right?
Oh, well over.
Yeah.
The biggest program I did was in Mexico City. We had 450 people that came out, and it was incredible. It was outside on their Olympic training center. It was amazing, So there's a lot of people I see just in the subacute rehab. I see over 400 amputees a year, and that's not the walking school. So I see a lot of people. I'm very lucky I get to help a lot of people. Yeah,
and we're lucky that you gave us some of your time today, first to share your story and give us some of that inspirational feeling, but also to talk more about Amputee Walking School. Thank you. Crystal always knows. We love seeing the hearts in the chat. Thank you for that, and Tina as well. Shelly says, thank you for the great information. Everyone, if you want to know more about Amputee Walking School, if you're an individual looking to be involved in the program, or hopefully you are a funder watching our recording and wanting to bring the program to your community or an amputee serving group, a clinic, a nonprofit like us, please reach out to Todd. We will include all the contact information when we send out our webinar to everyone. We'd be happy at Amputee Aid to put you right through to Todd as well, or you can just check out his website, Amputee Walking School. And for those of you who are joining us and when you watch the recording, use that QR code, free resource to track your steps. That's amazing. And it's created by an expert. It'll give you some motivation. You can use that resource, share it with other folks in the community. Thank you, Todd, for sharing that and gifting that to us and for giving us some of your time today. If you want to know more, Amputee Walking School is the organization. You can check them out online, or as I said, you can use the contact information when you get the recording from us on Friday. All right, so next week, everyone, we are semi-closing our February theme, and I say that because we have a bonus week in March. We will wrap up February, though, with a discussion with Linda Cola, amputee coach from Lifelong Prosthetics, who's going to be talking with us for the hour next Wednesday, all about how to advocate for yourself with your prosthetist, with your insurance company. So we're going to be having her here live. Lots of you know Lynn. You've seen her in the community as well. She's highly respected in the community, just like Todd. So if you want to ask questions, next Wednesday is your time. We will be doing a giveaway next Wednesday, too. So we got a nice big package donated from a company called Purity Coffee today. So we'll be doing a giveaway next week, too. So if we can entice you, come for the giveaway, but we know you're going to stay for the expert advice from Lynn, just like you all stayed today for the expert advice from Todd. And then the first week of March, we will have Caroline Calabrese from Union OP here to give us a 101 on your fitting session. So we'll have a bonus week in March. Todd, thank you for giving us your time today. We so appreciate having you here. And I also want to say I love anytime you have a moment to pop up on our screen during our webinar. It always makes us a little happy when we see Todd's emoji up there. Not that you have to come every time, but you'll see him some of the time on our webinar. So thank you for that too. And for supporting us. Thank you for supporting us. And I just know at some point we're going to get all those grant applications funded and Amputee Walking School is going to be national. So hopefully our work efforts will pull off at some point and all of you can go. If you're looking for a city in the meantime, check out his website. He advertises it all there. All right. So until next Wednesday, everyone, have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of the week, a great beginning of next week. Come back next Wednesday, 2:00 Eastern time on Zoom and TikTok. Linda Cola, amputee coach, and a giveaway. See you all then, everyone. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much, Todd. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.